welcome to the A-List. I'm Ryan Gradishar. My guest on this edition of the A-List is Dr. William J. Gradishar, who is a professor of breast oncology at Northwestern University. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
So, could you describe what being a professor of breast oncology is?
Sure. Well, first, I'm a physician, and I specialize in oncology, which focuses on the care of patients with cancer. And as a medical oncologist, I deal with non-surgical approaches to taking care of patients with cancer. My specific focus is in breast cancer, and I take care and manage the breast cancer program at Northwestern University. And as is true in any academic endeavor, there's a series of steps one goes through to become an assistant, associate, and a full professor of medicine, usually based on your contributions in clinical medicine, research, and education.
So what are some of the ups and downs of being a professor or researching breast oncology?
Well, the upside is clearly we get to meet and take care of a number of patients, and that's a very rewarding thing. The challenges, of course, is that they have oftentimes not only a malignant disorder, but one that's incurable. So you're taking care of people that you know at some point over the coming years will die of their disease. That in itself, caring for patients through that journey is rewarding as a professional. The other part of it that's rewarding is that we evaluate new therapies and new approaches to the care of cancer. So we have the first opportunities to really evaluate whether new treatments might be helpful long before other physicians in the community or elsewhere in the United States or around the world have an opportunity to try it. The challenges remain that many patients die despite our best efforts, so that can be, sometimes what I would view as a downer. Yeah. But we continue to keep trying, and we have made improvements.
So what exactly do you do? Like, how do you research breast cancer, how to cure it?
So with respect to what I do specifically, we look at new therapies that may be useful in patients. That may be new drug therapies. It may be new anti-hormonal pill-like therapy. We base these new therapies not just randomly selecting drugs off the shelf, but by understanding the biology of the disease. So in your classes of biology, they give you a sense of how cells behave and how they react. What we try to do with respect to cancer cells is interfere with their ability to grow. And there are a number of different things that control that. And by interfering with each of those pathways with a drug or multiple drugs, you may affect the way that a cancer actually grows. Hopefully it won't grow, it'll actually die.
Yeah.
So we try a variety of different drugs in a group of patients, trying to determine if that's better than whatever else is available. And the other thing that we pay a lot of attention to are what the side effects of a given therapy are. You'd like to have good drugs that are active against the cancer, but with relatively few side effects. That would be the ideal.
Yeah, I would assume so. And I understand that you recently got a award for being a professor.
Right, so I'm a full professor and have been for a while, but one of the things that medical schools do is to, I suppose, select people within their faculty. They endow chairs. Chairs are honorary chairs, and it usually is given to people who've done significant research, significant service to the medical school, have raised the profile of the medical school, and that's referred to as an endowed or endowed chair. And I became the Betty Bramson Professor of Breast Oncology earlier this week. My day-to-day life doesn't change. I just have more names after my name. Mm-hmm. But it's an honor, and it's the highest honor a medical school can bestow upon its faculty, so it's a very nice thing.
That's pretty great. And could you? I know you're pretty world-renowned. Could you tell me one of the more interesting places you've been around the world?
Well, in my job, I have an opportunity, because of the kind of work we do, I often get invited to speak at meetings around the world. And because of that, I've had an opportunity to travel to most places in the world. And actually, not related to work, but one of the more interesting places we've gone recently as a family was back to Ethiopia. And we just came back a couple of weeks ago, and that was a fascinating trip. There was no work involved. I have met all the physicians there in the past on a previous trip, but this time we traveled throughout the country, saw some of the ancient churches from 1,000 years ago, saw the origin of the Blue Nile, saw animals like rhinos in the water, so we saw a little bit of everything. It's a very poor country, but at the same time it's one that's rich in culture and wonderful, very nice people and beautiful countryside. So not only myself, but the rest of my family, and Cynthia and our boys, I think really had a memorable trip.
Yeah. And you've also been, could you describe your trip to Afghanistan? Am I correct that you took time out of your internship to go there and help out with Civil War?
That was many years ago. That was a couple of decades ago now, even longer than that. That was during the Afghan-Russian War, long before the Americans were involved. And I worked in Peshawar, Pakistan, on the border of Afghanistan, and helped train Afghan medics who then went back into the country and provide basic medical care during the Afghan-Russian War, not what's going on now, but this was 20 years ago. And quite frankly, not a whole lot has changed. It's the same people. Instead of being our best friends, the Mujahideen are often now some of the same people who are against us. But at the time, everybody was on the same side and trying to get the Russians out of Afghanistan, and we were trying to train people to provide very, very basic medical care. And again, that was an exciting time. Not sure I'd do it again right now, but at the time it seemed like something that would be a challenge.
Any other interesting places you've been?
I find most places I haven't been interesting. So I've been, to China several times, Japan and Thailand, throughout Southeast Asia, India many times. There are many places I'd like to go, Mongolia and Bhutan and certain parts of South America that I haven't visited. So the world's a big place, and whenever I have an opportunity to go somewhere that I haven't been, and certainly if I can take our boys, I always like to give them the exposure of seeing something new, different cultures.
Yeah. That's all the time we have today on the A-List. I want to thank my guest, Dr. William J. Gradishar. I'm Ryan Gradishar. Thanks for watching.